Yo, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday today. It's your boy Abomb, and as usual, with me, my co-host and brother from another mother, Cryptodilly. What's going on with these shades, man? What's this whole get-up about? Tell us what's going on right now.
Well, you got to match the ape. I finally got the suit, and now we got the glasses. We're just transforming. We're melding into our PFPs, right? I think
love
that's
it.
what this episode might be about, maybe.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty froggy, so I might just leave. What's up? No, I'm just joking. Okay, let's get into it. Why don't you drop on us what you have, and then you show yours, and I'll show you mine. How about that?
All right. Well, I only did that with my babysitter, but if we're going to get this going, I think the first thing that we start off with is what 10KTF tweeted last week. Obviously, we got a series of tweets that came out right out of the gate. And we had the first one where it actually had like the toad up on the screen. That was like the original thing that we saw a couple weeks ago, right? In the CCTV footage. But the toad looks a little bit different. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we just got some more information from MDVMM, which is the Yuga Labs website for the trial of Jimmy the Monkey. And there's a new mini game that's coming out called Lick the Toad. This toad in the actual CCTV footage looks very similar to the Lick the Toad in the mini game that I think we're going to play. So I think there's going to be some crossover there in the way that the storyline and lore kind of comes together. Obviously, we talked a little bit about this previously. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on this? I'd love to pick your brain.
I'm not buying it as of right now. I mean, I get it. Like, they have similar eyeballs. Yes, if you go to that website that Dilly mentioned and you look at the eyeballs of that toad, and it's also profile. So it's hard to get like a good comparison. So it could be, and it's also in black and white. So holy shit, there's a lot out there that we just don't know. But I'm not buying it because why is this like toad that we're going to lick? I guess a magical toad could be like a regular guy at the end of the day or girl. Like, hey, man, just because I'm magical doesn't mean like I need to be locked in like a tower or something. I could work SWAT for Intech, right?
I think the biggest thing about it is that, like, you have the toad, behind the table, which is what you're referring to. That's all up in the garb, the get up. But this isn't the CCTV footage, and behind the toad is even like a very different character than we've seen before, that with a crown on its head, right? So I think we're going to see like some characters in Lick the Toad. I mean, the way that the trial of Jimmy the Monkey has played out has been a little bit different than what people thought that it would be, right? So why wouldn't Lick the Toad maybe be a little bit different, maybe a play on words as well?
Yeah, I can see that. I'm curious sort of what kind of mini game that is, like it makes me think of like a drunk game where like you have to like lick this toad and then try to like balance as long as you possibly can. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll find out. Tell us.
I don't know, but I like that little tidbit, and I think that may come into the narrative of the storyline. But we'll jump right into the next thing, which was obviously the big thing that popped last week for 10KTF, which is that one picture of the like office of New Tokyo Electric Company. And we have like a couple different things going on within the image. And you can see within the image, you have like this water cooler. And then right next to it, you have the door. And on the door, there's like a meeting schedule, right? And the meeting schedule talks about the birthday cake in break room, 1 slice per person. Now, with that piece of information, I truly believe that has a meaning that dates back to when Queso actually discovered the Burn King for PFP on the cake. And 1 slice per person, that definitely, in my opinion, refers to like 1 per wallet, right? Like making it to where it's 1 per person to be able to claim. So that way you have a high unique ownership. And obviously we know that OGs have been rewarded in the past. I definitely think that has a place within that as well. And I think the Damn Show actually mentioned that as well in their show. But right above it, which is something that we talked about a little bit, is CryptHaute actually flipped over this little sign, and it says like HC exit. And within this sign actually says Burn Crown for PFP. Now, Originally, whenever this was said, a lot of people, including yourself, actually didn't believe it, and that
I
was on
was
the live. Yeah, it
I
was
was
on the
mid
live.
sentence saying how I didn't think We Knew Labs was ever going to release a PFP, and I would die on that hill, and I would be willing to be stoned to death. And before I could finish that sentence, Brezzy, shout out Brezzy, legend, dope cowboy ape too, came into the space and just dropped straight heat on us and was like, "Yo, check out like the shading on it, like change the opacity or the darkness of contrast on the actual, image of that, and you're gonna see some crazy alpha." And he drew over it, like he like traced it, and I was like, this is like a stretch, bro. I was like, I think you're kind of reaching here. And then I think is Tyrone? Tyrone was like, yo, bro, no. He's like, look at the original one and like really take a close look at it. And I did, and I was like, holy shit.
Well,
It
and that's
does
what's
say.
crazy too. Like the first time I looked at it, I was like in my hotel room in Cabo, and I was just like trying to like look at this picture, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I thought it was a joke too. Like to give
Right.
I literally was like, there's no way this is like a troll. And then I read the comments, and I was like, oh, like this is serious. And then like you increase and do the contrast and stuff, and one of the big things that like a lot of people probably don't realize is like Robin Har. He's one of the head designers for like 10KTF, and he like his specialty is lighting in a lot of his works of art. And I think this is honestly the work of Robin Har, like right there in front of our eyes, because it was so hard to actually see until you actually train your eye to actually view it. And then once you see it, it's like, oh, of course that's always been there. But one big thing that CryptHaute actually like pointed out is this little staircase at the bottom of the actual like picture, and it
Right.
says 1, 2, 3. And what he pointed out is that these could actually be tiers. It could be that you need to burn 3 to actually get the most limited supply, like the top tier of whatever this PFP is. And then burn 2, you get like the mid tier, and then burn 1 and you get like the common rarity. And linear to that is actually like this pie chart in the window of the door. And something
Yep.
you brought up is this being like the quantities of like something. And it makes sense that it'd be the quantity of rarity. Like common is 50% of all of the actual tiers for rarity. And then you have like the other second like tier rarity where that's a little bit less or more scarce. And then the most rare, you have to like use 3 Gtags to actually burn for the like most god tier PFP within the collection. And I think the crown for PFP, I think it's almost like confirmed without a doubt, like that is the Gtag, because the actual property within the OpenSea that has the crown on it, right? So I mean, I don't know if there's any like disagreements on that or any other speculation on what it could be, but I think it makes the most sense that is the Gtag. And because of that speculation, it's driven the price of Gtags up quite a bit over the past week. I think they're just over 1 ETH as we're filming now.
Yeah, I thankfully got to flip some G tags and got some scissors. Ka-ching! So we're gonna add some ink to the leg, hopefully by the end of the year. Everybody, we'll see what that comes out like. But
Dude,
yeah,
we're gonna get scissors next to the thimble.
we could do it. We're still figuring it out. But the side that I also wanted to point out with the graph, because like that pie chart had been standing out to me from the time I saw it, and I didn't really know what to make of it. And again, I don't think the team's like, oh yeah, what would be in the room? Oh fuck it, let's just throw a pie chart. And they're like, no, that's not what they're doing. They're like giving little hits of alpha right in front of you as usual, alpha in plain sight. So with the connection of what CryptHaute just broke down there, and how there being 3 tiers, and the highest tier being that smaller wedge of the pie chart, you know what I mean? There are only 3 main wedges of the pie chart that would kind of fall in line with that theory. So it's interesting that again those 2 items were seen too in the same image. So I think that's some alpha for sure.
I definitely think so, and I'm really excited to kind of like have everybody hear your other speculation of what the PFP could really be. And I think this really, it has a lot of layers to it, and if it comes true, I think that there's a lot to talk about. So why don't you lay it on the people?
Yeah, so I was sitting there thinking, first of all, we as a community from 10KTF have failed miserably as far as, I guess discussing or imagining what PFPs we'd actually love to see or have, right? Like, we've almost never discussed that. We've always said we want PFPs. We want a Beeple PFP, man. But what the fuck does that PFP look like?
A Beeple. I need a Beeple.
It is
Kagami Beeple, baby.
Himself. I want Mike Winkleman Beeple. I just want it to look like him. That's what I want. So, no, but for real. So I started kind of running it through my mind, and live on the space, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been PGM, but as PGM was speaking, it just clicked something in my mind, and I was like, well, Citizens of New Tokyo is something we've always been referred to as. So if the PFPs were anything, I don't see them being like an animal of any kind, like any apes or any fucking cat. I don't see that. And I think we knew would want to do something original, and that also makes sense within the context of the lore. So being called Citizens of New Tokyo, I think, is something where we would see maybe humanoid figures. We have seen Wagmi-san as a humanoid. We know that he's a citizen of New Tokyo. I know there are boss toads, boss wolf, and gutter cats, and who the hell else knows what else in New Tokyo. But just because of Wagmi-san's origin and it all starting with him, I would imagine we would see something similar. So my mind went deeper, and I asked, well, how do you apply rarity to a citizen, or a human for that matter? And I thought, what about their job? Like, what if there's a job that they hold within New Tokyo, and whatever that job is means that you have access to a resource which others do not. So if you work at New Tokyo Electric Company in tech, you then have access to electricity as a resource. This is just like a gamified thought. So if that's the case, then you would need your neighbor who has this other resource, or a person that has a different job essentially, to either trade or barter in some way to get their resource so you can build this next item, which is very similar to what we've already seen 10KTF do in the very beginning, when they had the Genesis items and then they dropped the tools and materials, and everyone was like, what the hell is this, man? Like, what do we do with this? And then they realized, oh shit, we need each other to actually build the next step of things. I can imagine that there'd be some sort of similar formula applied to this. Now, am I right? Do I know if I'm right? I have no clue, but I do love the theory of potentially having a different rarity per PFP, and them still having making sense that they're there. Like, it's not like a mega Wagmi-san or some shit like that. We don't have mega mutants or anything like that. Like, they're going to be regular folk that have a different job that maybe, again, lead them to another resource. Do I know if that resource will be actually available? No, I don't know that either. So
one thing that's really fascinating about the things that you're getting into is gamification, right? Like, we know that with the other side, a lot of this stuff is actually going to come to reality, and the form that it actually gets there. Like, we're doing Battletown, and we played Battletown for many months. And we were figuring out staking and crafting and all these different game mechanics. And it makes sense that you'd actually have somebody that gets rewarded for being able to carry out these different ways of making that stuff happen. The same way that people holding tools get staked rewards anytime that something is crafted, right? And so I think that type of style of gamification is really interesting for the longevity of the other side. And a PFP right now that's actually out is called the Sad Times. They're sheeps, and they've been transforming over time through a narrative of dynamic NFTs, and they actually get jobs. And then you can change your job with by staking it, or I guess doing a blockchain transaction. And so a lot of that game mechanics, I think that could play into the ecosystem within 10KTF, and have the citizens of New Tokyo actually operate in that same manner. And then whenever you get into layer 2 projects, like being a scientist and having access to the lab, right? And being able to carry out different formulas or play with the serum, or maybe you're a hounds keeper for the mutant cartel, right? There's different lore pieces that really could play out with the grand narrative that's playing out before our eyes with the story.
100%. I like that you point that out. And also I wanted to make the point to just sort of address again, like, I don't think 10KTF has ever introduced an item into their lore or their ecosystem that did not have a specific purpose. And whether it even burned like for a comfy hoodie token. Thanks, guys, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
So
let's see that tag real quick while you're on the comfy token.
this is the tag of the comfy hoodie that it came with. So it says WagMe, 10ktf.com. Here's WeNews logo. This is what's tattooed on my body as well. So nothing on the back, no alpha on the back.
Sorry, I completely derailed you there, though.
No, it's all good. But I mean, I think that it's important to point out, like, why would and what would, more than even why, but like, what would PFPs do in the 10KTF ecosystem? What is their role? And again, I think of it from a gamified, point of view, which is, okay, well, if I am a citizen of New Tokyo, like, what do I do? Like, Abomb is a 10KTFM talk radio reporter, right? I know we suck, but this is what we do, right? So I'm curious what kind of maybe, again, utility, I guess we'll use that word, utility, but more so like, what is the point and what are they going to do in this ecosystem? Is it just another avatar for us to be like, oh, sweet, I'm going to kit out my 10KTF avatar? You know what I mean? Because I don't know that would necessarily incentivize enough people to actually do so. Like, if I have an ape or a mutant ape like yo ass, I don't know that I would be willing to trade that out. I would probably want to kit out my mutant or my ape before I kitted out my my 10KTF PFP. And that's me coming from an OG.
I think within the gamification of the other side, I think that's really where a lot of the roles can take place with this theory of PFPs being citizens and them having occupations as the rarity tiers. Because when I think of the other side, I think of all the resources and all the different land plots, right? And people are going to be able to, like, I guess, obtain these resources based on the land plots that they own. Now, how do they distribute that? How do they mine that? Like, how do you craft different items? What does the Agora do? And who is making these different materials and, wearables, different things like that within the ecosystem? And when you think of 10KTF, you think of Wagmi-san, right? And he's a master craftsman, but you have all these different people with varying crafts and different, I guess, skill sets. And I think that could come full circle with the rarity tiers. And I don't think it's necessarily something where you're going to actually have to go in there and physically do the mechanics yourself, but like staking and doing different things like that, just as that character will provide different things for you for holding that asset. And I think that's the same thing as holding the land plot, right? Like, having this plot of land with these resources will end up yielding you these resources to then be able to sell.
Right.
The same thing will then happen with having a citizen. And that's the way that I like to think of this theory really playing out.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man, through and through. That's kind of what I came to, is just that,
I love it.
Yeah, it may happen, it may not. It's speculation alley.
No, dude, it's coming true. Pump our bags. Go buy your Gtags. Get your Kagami on. Let's get it.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. We actually have Dookie Dash ending today as well. So hope you all got your dash. And then I know my fiance was making mad fun of me. She's like, "Are you Dookieing?" She had to go. So I was like, "I'm going to Dookie. Why don't you dash?" And, I was just making dad jokes.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
I think we need to end it there.
End it now before I embarrass myself anymore. Jeez.
Well, I just want to say, thanks for tuning in on this week's episode of Speculation Alley. We do a new episode every single Wednesday. So go check out our previous episodes. If you like this one and it gave you any value, definitely hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And come back around. We do a Twitter Spaces the same day as these are posted, so that way we can discuss it with the community. But, until next time, we don't know whether we're getting PFPs or what the PFPs are going to be. None of this is actually true. This is a fake TV show, and, the lines are made up, and what did they say, and whose line is it anyways?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyway, the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
But that's what I was going to say. And I think this is the perfect time to end this episode. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Peace.